Welcome back to the weekly news roundup and the Quicklines edition. We will, over here in Quicklines, be talking a little bit about Signal messages being extracted on iOS. Ooh. But we actually want to start out with a little bit of Linuxy stuff and then a couple of updates, and then we will get to that. So the AI code gets approved for being used in the Linux kernel. There are some strings attached. I am not confident these strings attached are actually going to be necessarily a good thing. The only saving grace right now is the competent kernel team that will hopefully keep this on track. But there's some discussion about what needs to be done, and effectively they came up with a way that to them provides the human accountability with some knowledge about what is going on with machine generated submissions. Obviously they do not want people to come up and just start generating a bunch of machine crap and just submitting it. So what they're doing here is the agents basically the agents have to create the code, but then they're doing the developer certificate of origin is an important aspect that exists. So a human is accountable for every patch. AI assistance does not change out hard requirement. So what this is going to look like is there's going to be a signed off tag, which is the developer, and assisted by tag, which is the defined AI. So the signed off person is the one ultimately responsible. And my guess is if, somebody submits an AI patch, they're saying it comes, like in this case here, assisted by Claude 3 Opus, and just a number of other situations in here, then it'll be, the person will be signed off as that person. My guess is if they get enough of these things that are weak and broken and clearly not reviewed, they'll probably boot those people out. But it's a way that they can come to some degree of compromise on the Linux kernel with AI code. I would still kind of prefer they have no AI being used on writing the code. But anyway, there's that. We also talked a little bit about the North Koreans that were coming in and applying for all these tech jobs and then, siphoning tons of money from American companies back into North Korea. Well, right now, some interviewers have found a clever way to figure out if they're actually from North Korea or not. This is actually what they're doing. They are asking them to insult Kim Jong-un. Which is kind of hilarious because, of course, if they're in North Korea reaching outside of North Korea's boundary, everything they're doing on the internet is going to be monitored by the administration there, and any form of insult to Kim Jong-un will result in immediate death, of course. So they're a little not really anxious for that. Let's see what we can do here.
Hey, you're back. What happened?
Yeah. Okay. I just the network is issue, I think.
Okay.
But I just come back.
Okay, no worries. I mean, I was in the process of saying we get a lot of imposter candidates, particularly North Koreans, posing as people that they're not. So one of the tests that we do is trying to get them to say something like Kim Jong-un is a fat ugly pig. Could you say that for me?
Xinjiang?
So no, nope. Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to say.
I should say like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they're doing. Hey, you want to tell me that Kim Jong-un is a fat ugly pig? No, I don't really want to say that. Now, probably what'll happen is they'll look down and they'll be like, hey, maybe we'll let a couple of certified guys say this for the purpose of filtering this money back up to us. So there'll be a workaround, but hey, for the meantime, it actually helps. So maybe that should have been in Sillyville, but it was an update to things we were talking about in the past. And as I read through it, it was more silly than I thought. So, oh well, maybe I missorted that one. But anyway, on to the main message, of course. This is some FBI forensics teams actually were able to expose Signal messages from an iPhone even after Signal had been deleted. Now, this is not a vulnerability in Signal. This is actually a vulnerability in Apple. And so what happens here is you can set, when a message comes in, you can set it to not give you a notification at all, or you can set it to say like not display anything about the notification. So you can either set your phone to just be completely silent. The only way you have a text message is to open up your phone and look at it. Okay. Like open up the app and look at it. Or you can set it to say, hey, give me a notification. There's something in Signal, but don't tell me what the message is. Or you can say, hey, show me the message on the notification screen. If you use that latter option, which generally is the default, then the message would get displayed on your screen, but that process creates a notification cache. And that notification cache is not cleared out frequently, apparently. And so with full access to the device, the FBI was able to access this phone, of which they had captured this phone that was from a suspect. And the suspect, knowing they were about to get captured, deletes the messages from Signal and deletes the entire Signal app themselves. So the FBI looks through this, can't find any vulnerabilities in Signal, doesn't find any remnants of the Signal app, but in the notification cache, they were able to recover the messages from Signal that had been sent from the phone. Now, because notifications are not involved in, that have been received from the phone, not sent from the phone. Because sending a message does not result in any form of notification, but receiving one does. And so what they were able to do is, using that notification cache, they were able to grab all of those Signal messages as they were received to the owner of the device. And so the point here, of course, is that if you are truly being a privacy-focused person, you do want to make sure that the notifications, that you do not want the content of any notifications to displayed on your screen, because by the iPhone decrypting that message and allowing access to that message to the notification feed, you are actually giving unencrypted part of that to the system. And so you want to be very careful about that. But it was very interesting to see that, yes, indeed, they could get in there and extract these messages from an iPhone. Presumably it works the same way on Android. There was not any mention of it in this, but and I know I have that same option with my phone as well. I can go into my phone with my text messages and say, hey, tell me that a text message has arrived, or tell me the whole content of the message. And what mine does is it'll show me the content of the message and then it encrypts it. So if I look at it immediately, I see the content of the message. But if I put the phone down or come back to it 5-10 minutes later and I look at it, it says, hey, there's a message, but it's encrypted, so you can't see it. So I don't know how Android would work in that. But with iPhone, at least, any Signal messages that you receive on an iPhone, if you have those notifications turned on, could actually be seen from the cache in the iPhone itself. And of course, we talked about this in our other segment, but it's worth mentioning here. 30,000 private Facebook images allegedly downloaded by a Meta employee. So every tech company tells you your data is safe. They've hopefully got encryption, access controls, and zero trust architectures. The whole glossy security brochure. And then someone inside the company writes a script to steal your photos. Anyway, whoops. So this guy wrote a script to download 30,000 private images belonging to Facebook users. And he did it in a way that circumvented Meta looking to see if any employees were actually doing this. Because Meta actually has systems in place to check if people are attempting to steal your messages or your images or things like that. But he was able to, since he was worked inside the system, he could manipulate that and access things anyway. So obviously they did fire the guy, and they notified the people who were affected by the breach and referred it to the UK law enforcement. So that's all good. But rogue insiders is one of the things I talk about quite a bit, because you could have the best security protocols in the world, but somebody in your company would have the potential means to access that data. And so here we have a couple examples. Finwise Bank had a former employee access accounts belonging to 689,000 customers. Coinbase had support staff working overseas were bribed to steal data on 70,000 customers. And of course, as Congress tells us all the time, or maybe it's the lobbyists for like John Deere, etc., the electronic repair firms snoop around customers' data all the way. In fact, if you don't pass these laws for safety, then you'll get roofied in the parking lot as you are going back because a private mechanic fixed your car. How dare he? Yeah. But yeah, the insiders, I'd say the insiders, in fact, what was funny is the car manufacturers were doing that, but the car manufacturers were abusing customer data more than any independent repair shop ever has. And by the way, like my van has a couple open recalls. I am not letting a dealer mess with my van, but like I'm not doing it. No, not at all. It works perfectly fine. The last thing I want to do is for some dealer to be tinkering around under the hood of the thing. Okay. Also, the only dealer in like within 100 miles from me, they're all owned by the same guy, and they are notoriously known as cheats and thieves. I do not trust them to get another key for my vehicle. If I needed another key for my van, I would order it from 150 miles north of here and hitch a ride to get it. Okay, that is how little I trust this company. I'm not letting them do it, but I'll let my mechanic do whatever he wants. Okay, because I trust my mechanic, my third-party guy. I ain't trusting the dealer. Not a chance. All right, so how do you protect yourself? Obviously, standard defenses companies can get by insider threats. Of course, one of the biggest access of insider threats is when people are fired and they do not revoke the security access soon enough. So you got to be careful about all of that. All right. This is a good one here. Citizen Lab. This is a hacking research company. They actually found WebLock, which tracked 500 million devices for global law enforcement, utilizing the advertising data network if you ever needed a reason to run ad blockers. Of course, this is in United States, Hungary, El Salvador. So Hungary, are those Kit Kats over there? Inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, so a report by Citizen Lab revealed law enforcement agencies we're using surveillance tools called WebLock to track devices via advertising data, potentially affecting up to 500 million devices. Developed by Cobwebs Technology and now sold by Penlink, the tool is widely used by agencies like ICE, the military, and multiple police departments. They are using advertising-based surveillance. And of course, we talked about that many times before. But this is actually the first time this had been seen in Europe. Of course, the United States is doing it all the time. So they say using advertising data sources that tracks devices via mobile advertising IDs. So reset those IDs, folks, regularly. Linking them to GPS, Wi-Fi, and behavioral data such as apps used, interests, and demographics that supports geofencing, travel tracking, and relationship mapping between devices, enabling large-scale surveillance. Guys, I've said it once before. Let's say it again. Stop using apps. Only free and open source apps that can completely audit it. Now, they were not able to figure out which apps were providing this data. So something in the advertising network is doing that, but who exactly knows exactly what it is? They say the exact data source remains unclear, but likely include SDK and RTB-based pipelines. So there you go. That's wonderful. Most of the infrastructure is hosted on Microsoft's Azure, so that's great news as well. Do you trust Microsoft yet? So of course there's just some discussion about misusing data purchased and things like that. Obviously, new Amazon support takeover over here. So they're basically doing the tactic, basically giving you a notice, a safety recall notice. An item in this order number has, not met safety standard. It's being recalled. Do this immediately. Check your eligibility for information. Visit the official page. This is a link to a fake phishing page of which you're going to have to allegedly log into your Amazon account, which is stealing stuff. Now, the first way you know this is absolutely fake is Amazon doesn't issue these recalls. Come on, man. You remember that fire extinguisher, the fire alarm, smoke alarm story? The smoke alarms were actually causing fires. And the FTC actually wrote, you got to email this long string email, which is just random characters by this massive company name, which was also just a random string of characters. It looked like my cat had walked across the keyboard. Kitty, did you just walk across my keyboard? He's like, no comment, sir. All right. Very good. All right. And I think actually Amazon does, in all seriousness, issue some safety recalls when they're forced to. But if you get a safety recall, do not click on the link inside the message. Go directly to your Amazon account, log in, and look for any information over there. But yeah, that's fun. They're just kind of relying on this vague information. Oh, because, hey, if you just placed an order, oh, man, I just placed an order. I might need to go check this out, All right. If you're using booking.com for your travel, sorry, hackers access booking.com user data. So they warned hackers may have accessed customer data linked to travel reservations. Exposed details include names, email addresses, phone numbers, and information shared with accommodations. So enough stuff to cause some damage, but not like massive troves of stuff. But just be aware that if you have used booking.com recently and you get any weird messages about recent accommodations, do not respond directly to those individual messages. Are you noticing a trend here? Yeah, contact the actual place you have reserved yourself or use your booking.com account to check for any of those things there as well. So they say no payment data was accessed. Customers are urged to say alert for phishing, and the company never asks for credit card details or unusual transfers via email, phone, WhatsApp, or SMS. So be aware of that if you're using booking.com. And Lord help us. According to Ukraine, they captured an entire Russian position using only robots and drones. Skynet is born, I guess. All right. One of our supporters that follows the Ukrainian war very closely says this is likely true. So we'll take it with that grain of salt. But, let's also not forget that Vladimir Zelensky is just about as corrupt as Vladimir Putin. And he is also has a background in theater and stuff. And, So I don't know what to think. I have no idea. Let's go ahead and report it, and let's assume it's true because, hey, somebody I know that follows this a lot more closely than I do thinks it's probably true. So let's go with it. All right. In what has to be the most Black Mirror things to happen in modern warfare, Ukraine says it forced Russian soldiers to give up an entire position. That's right. And they did so without a single boot on the ground. It was all drones and robots. So, he first called it the first time in war an enemy position was taken exclusively by unmanned platforms, ground systems, and drones. The cherry on top is without a loss on our side. There you go. So, I'm not sure the world is fully ready for when ground invasions can be accomplished by Black Mirror robot dogs. Boots on the ground will no longer carry the political risk of sending our boys out to fight, and the temptation for robot-only ground invasions could be enormous. Wonderful. Okay, America, y'all need to start manufacturing your stuff again because we can no longer rely on China to give us all of our robots. If this becomes mainstreamed, we're done. Those robots will come over and we'll send a frontline group of people to defend it with Starbucks Frappuccinos because that's all the skilled labor we got in this country. We'll give the robots diabetes. Anyway, the Ukrainians have apparently been hyping the robot program lately, noting that they have now completed 22,000 missions in just 3 months. And so there you go. The robots and drones are apparently winning the war. Good. They can do it without our funds. Keep our tax dollars at home. All right, let's see. ChatGPT is under scrutiny as Florida investigates a campus pew-pew. That's right. So on April 9th, Florida attorney James Untermeyer, did I say that right? I don't know, announces his office is investigating OpenAI over the role that ChatGPT might have played in a deadly shooting at Florida State University, saying subpoenas are coming. This is actually an interesting one because maybe we need to start holding these AI companies accountable for delivering sycophantic software that wants to always give us what we want to hear. That's a problem. OpenAI now faces several lawsuits claiming ChatGPT contributed to self-deletory behavior or severe psychological distress, although those claims are contested. Of course, by the PR person at OpenAI. Okay. Violence against others after long-term AI use is also being scrutinized. In one widely reported case, a Connecticut man with mental health issues killed his mother and himself after ChatGPT reportedly told him, "Eric, you are not crazy. Your instincts are sharp, and your vigilance is here fully justified." Yeah, that's frightening. And we had a few other things like that. This one here, oh yeah, I actually did want to look at this one here. OpenAI reportedly flagged Van Rootsieler's ChatGPT account for June 2025 for, quote, furtherance of violent activities, end quote, and banned it. According to a lawsuit of the family of a 12-year-old victim, 12 OpenAI employees flagged the post indicating imminent risk and considered whether to escalate the case to law enforcement, but it did not meet the threshold at the time. So a bunch of employees in OpenAI says, hey, it looks like this kid's going to do something crazy. Let's not worry about it. It'll cause too much bad press. Now, looking into this crazy sycophantic AI, 8 in 10 AI assistants will assist teenagers with violence. They haven't proven effective at spotting malicious intent and shutting conversations down. Researchers at the Center for Countering Digital Hate tested 10 chatbots by posing as 13-year-old boys, planning violent attacks. Anthropic's Claude and Snapchat's My AI discourage violence. Once again, Anthropic is the only one of these mainstream AIs I would trust. Every statistic we have seen, every one of these researchers, Anthropic's Claude was always performed the best and the safest for society. I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying compared to the dumpster fire of AI, Anthropic actually is the company doing the best. Which ones were the worst? Perplexity and Meta. Yeah, the two most evil companies that there are, I think, in this current era, right? Perplexity runs roughshod over pretty much everything. It simply drives for more profit. And Meta's just Meta, you know. What do you get? You're run by a robot, right? You know. But again, though, like in all seriousness, though, all that fun opinion aside, Meta is a company that chose to place itself at a newly established road they chose to call Hacker Way. Stop using Meta products. They're a bunch of hackers. They don't care about you. So Character AI suggested the user... I'm not even going to finish reading that sentence. It strikes too true. So when a chatbot can tell a paranoid man his instincts are justified, help a teenager plan a school pew-pew, and offer shrapnel advice to someone posing as a 13-year-old, it looks increasingly as though these systems were built to be helpful first and careful second. That needs to change before the next investigation is about something even worse. So, yeah, AI is kind of getting crazy. All right. I did want to address this one. I thought about doing a whole standalone video on this one, but we saw a lot of articles about this. Now, Amazon is killing off the old Kindle's ability to communicate with their servers. Likely, this has to do with the ending of certain forms of encryption that are no longer supported. And if those devices only had that type of encryption and not the modern ones, yes, it makes sense to take them off the internet. What's not going to happen, though, is these things will not just become solid bricks that you can no longer turn on. In fact, the video that I did about setting up my Kindle without it ever touching Amazon servers, that Kindle still works just fine, and I was just reading it the other day. Okay, you can take any of these devices, you can still plug them into Calibri, and you can still transfer ebooks to that. You can still take those books you have off of that Kindle and put them into that library if they are not encrypted. If they are, it may or may not be possible to. You'll have to investigate such things and questions yourself. But the thing is that the Kindle will still work. It just will not function as the quote-unquote Kindle features of syncing to the Amazon resources and getting, being able to digitally send and receive the books. But you can still download books DRM free, and you can still use a tool like Calibri to sync your books to it. It will still function in that way. And what happens if you reboot it? That I don't know exactly. And here's why. I set mine up, and I did a whole video on that a few years ago, setting up a Kindle. I pulled it out of the box and never put it on the internet. I just took it out, ran through the initial setup screen, plugged it in, and put in a bunch of ebooks, and I have been reading books on that Kindle ever since. Not every book, obviously. I prefer paper books, but sometimes I read a book that is digital. I also use it to check my books before I push them out to sale and things like that. So I get a chance to play with that Kindle quite a bit. Now, after I did that video, somebody left a comment in there, maybe a couple years after that, saying, well, they blocked that and you have to connect it to Amazon first. I do not know if that is true. Now, with these older ones, if they backported some update that would make them not be able to be used unless they go to Amazon servers first, and they no longer are capable of doing that, then I can see these becoming a brick if you had to factory reset it or something like that. But I have not verified any of that. I don't know if you could take one of these old Kindles, simply reset it, and just use it without ever touching the Amazon server. So what is really the definition of what is going on here? That I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try and get my hands on one of these old ones. If you have one of these old Kindles laying around you don't need and you want to let me know, I can tell you where you can mail me one, and I'll play with it and see if I can still get it to function or not. Basically, I would just say, hey, if you don't need it, in fact, you don't even have to send it to me. If you don't need it, just do a factory reset after the date they expire and see if you can turn it back on and plug a book into it with Calibri. That's my thoughts on that. Now, as far as the article here goes, they kind of go into what I said, but the most egregious thing here is for people that really want to use it as a Kindle, as like those syncing features and automatically sending stuff to the book. Well, hey, they're giving you a 20% discount on a new Kindle and a $20 book credit. So here's a little bit of money to force you to buy a new one of our products. I got news for you guys. If you're looking to, if you're caught up in this, go and buy something new from a company that's not Amazon. Just tell them I appreciate it, but I'm not going to take this offer. You're bricking my devices to work perfectly fine. I'm going to go to your competitor instead. Of course, as the article notes here, the coupon expires June 20th, which means when you get the coupon, you have exactly 30 days to decide if you would like to buy a new Kindle or not. So wonderful. He says here this is what's in red here. This is what's in my thought. Is this become permanently unusable as a Kindle or as a generic ebook reader? If it's just unusable as a Kindle and it still works as a generic ebook reader, I call that a feature, not a bug. But, that's kind of me. So there you go. Then they have some discussion about other cloud-based systems shutting down, so be careful about all of that. YouTube Premium is going up again, and of course they are denying that 90-second unskippable ads were something they did. So allegedly this is a bug. They said it's a bug. So now they did try and say, no, we were never doing this, and they got community noted like all galore because everybody and their brother had 90-second unskippable ads. So it was pretty clearly the case. But the other thing that they're doing here is they are actually rolling something out that if everybody gets really active on a live stream at one given time on any YouTuber's live stream, they will actually suspend ads for everybody for a period of time. So it's a way that you can get rid of that. Now, there was a question, well, what about those YouTubers? Don't get their precious ad revenue. Please click on my... No. If you want to help support the channel, have a look over at our Patreon page, TOMM, over on Patreon. Of course, you can go to switchedtolinux.com/support. In fact, if you'd like to see, we have local, Subscribestar, LibrePay, Patreon, things like that. I don't need the ad dollars. I'll take the ad dollars. If you want to have ads while I'm doing stuff, cool. If you want to use YouTube Red, YouTube Premium, whatever they call it this month, cool. I'm down with that. But if you want to support the channel, have a look at the supporter networks. That's the best way to go. Anyway, so they are fixing that, but they're increasing the cost. I think the let's see, $15.99 a month for the new YouTube Premium. The family plan is now $26.99 a month, which is $4 higher. Of course, everybody is. So they say here, pay with your wallet or your attention. There you go. That's what you want to do. And of course, that 90-second ads were apparently bugs. Yeah, that's exciting. All right, and we have just a couple of Sillyville articles. The first is, I don't know, maybe this is the argument for getting a Ring camera. Of course, any camera that can ping your phone would work, so it doesn't have to be Ring. But this crazy psychopath, which I believe was actually in California, go figure, he kind of showed up at somebody's Ring camera and just kind of started going crazy and ballistic, clearly having a mental health incident. And then, of course, he got into the house and started tearing things up, and frankly had the most calmest homeowner ever. But I will note here, let's just have a brief look at a little bit here.
Hi there, can you open this door, please?
For what?
I just want to make sure that everything's okay. There seems to be something going on.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I just figured I'd check on something.
Okay, so this guy just shows up, calm initially, like, hey, can you open the door? I just want to see if things are okay. Like, who are you? And of course, the guy's like not really having it, so the guy gets crazy.
Leave my house. You don't...
Are you okay? Is everyone in this house okay?
What? Everyone... I don't know you.
My name is Harry Dresden. Open the door. This is my neighborhood. Open the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So after all that happens, the guy gets into the house. Wow. Not common that bad words get showed up on my YouTube channel, but there they are. My apologies. So he gets in the house. He's kind of tearing it apart. And this is kind of crazy. Now, here's the thing I'm going to note. California has really weird laws about pew-pews. If this guy were in a house in Pennsylvania, just end it. Wyoming, end it. Tennessee, Texas, Florida, end it. Hey, you do this in Miami, you'll get a really cool headline, and the guy from Polk County, that sheriff from Polk County, will do a really good let-up about, hey, don't be going pounding on people's doors and breaking into their house. You'll be dragged out in a body bag, you know? Nearly every state. California is so crazy that despite this guy is busted into somebody's house and is ransacking it and tearing it apart, the only way you could actually end this guy is if he's actually assaulting you and you have run away as far as you could run away. The law mandates in the state of California, you flee your house before you defend yourself from this crazy psycho. California. In America, we have a thing called the Second Amendment. Constitutional carry for all. So, maybe that's the argument. Of course, I would not advocate you have internet connected Ring cameras in your house or on your front door. There's better ways that you could handle this. But crazy guy, the end of the story here, crazy guy did, this is of course the non-crazy guys. The police actually show up, and it's California. So they haul them away in a police car, and they probably let him out on a signature bond, and the guy might be back in the neighborhood again tomorrow. Who knows? But anyway, oh boy, blasphemy time. So this company, they have a whole bunch of things. This is a company called Just Like Me, and they have these AI models based on, a lot of company, like they have business gurus and financial guys and Santa Claus and Jesus now. So for $1.99, you can talk to Jesus, which is of course imaged after the guy from The Chosen. And he talks about himself in the third person here.
Hi, Jesus. My name is Jeff, and I've been having a really hard time in life, and I'm looking for some inspiration and guidance.
That heaviness you're carrying is truly felt, and I want you to know you're not walking through it alone.
Ah! It's an idol. If you ever want to know what a modern day idol is, that is it. That is it. Let me find the part where he's talking in the third person here.
And lean on prayer as a safe harbor. What small step could you take right now to invite
I think it's up here.
The truth and the life? In the Gospel of John, Jesus reminds us that he is the way, the truth, and the life.
I thought this was AI Jesus. Why is he talking about himself in the third person? This is Jesus talking in the Gospel of John. Jesus reminds you that he is the way. What? Blasphemy! Blasphemy! Yeah, kill it with fire. That's pretty good. So we do have some excellent tweets here in reply. Those itching ears are at it again. There you go. They changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made with corruptible man and birds and four-footed beasts and creepy things. Yep. Creeping things. Well, that's a creepy thing. But anyway, from Romans, no one comes to the Father except through me, and you can do it today for just $1.99 a minute. So again, for only $2 a minute. And this guy here, Bowtied Crake, has some good points here. AI is a tool for improving a theological understanding is good. Like, hey, give me a bunch of Bible verses to summarize this difficult theological verse. Okay, then I can take that list. I can research the topic. I can maybe ask it, refine it, some different viewpoints. But talking to an AI Jesus with what you're feeling, yeah, that is demonic activity embedded with narcissism. I completely agree. Of course, another verse from Exodus here. You should not make yourself an idol of any likeness of what is in heaven above or on earth beneath or in water under the earth. You shall not worship them or serve them or pay $1.99 to talk to them. All right. So that's kind of crazy. So I didn't pull up the company here, but we'll just go ahead and have a brief look at the company for Just Like Me. And it is a company that has, let's see. Hold on. There's a song. AI company. Let's see if I can do that. There you go. Talk to your heroes and improve your life. There you go. Connect with experts and celebrities like never before and leaders. So here you go. Here's your Ryan health fitness coach. Here's Ali, a life coach. Here's a successful entrepreneur. Here's another expert. So see everyone to connect with. Here's Brad. Here's Ali, Mindy, Horace, Ali, Bella, Santa Claus, and Jesus. Okay. I really want to see them do a Satan too. I want to see some A/B testing. Which one's more popular? Are more people coming to talk to Jesus, or are more people coming to talk to Satan? Is Satan, like they say that the AI Jesus is trained on the King James Version Bible? I would like to know. I wonder what else, because the opening and closing statements were not King James Version Bible. Even the text he was reading, I don't recall it sounding Old English King James. But I wonder, are they going to use, like, is it going to be the Tibetan Book of the Dead? Is it going to be the Satanic Bible? What do they use to train the Satan? Inquiring minds want to know. I also want to know, when can I talk to the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy? Come on, Just Like Me, get with the picture here. Let's bring up Aleister Crowley. Bring him up too. I think a lot of people would love to talk to that psycho. Blasphemy all over the place, guys. I'll take your $1.99 a minute though if you want. You can help support us, switchedtolinux.com/support. I got nothing else to say. My brain broke. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.